homemade sweet dough with me. I'm going to walk us through how to make homemade sweet dough that can turn into both Hawaiian rolls and cinnamon rolls, and I'm going to show you step by step how to make both Hawaiian rolls and cinnamon rolls. So let's get started. Alright, so first off, I'm doubling my recipe, so I've got a little bit more ingredients than what a typical recipe calls for. So I've got 2 cups of milk in here. I'm going to pour 1 cup in at a time and do 1 batch at a time. But I went ahead and warmed 2 cups of milk. Right about there. Okay. Now I'm going to put the yeast and sugar in. Do about 2 tablespoons of active yeast, active dry yeast. And half a cup of sugar. That just don't really stir it in, but I just kind of mix it around just a little bit, kind of mix the sugar and everything in. And then I'm going to let that sit for about 10 minutes or until it becomes frothy. And then we'll continue with the rest. So we'll be back in about 10 minutes. Okay, I am back. It's been about 10 minutes and my my yeast, sugar, and milk mixture is getting nice and frothy. So now I'm going to start adding the other ingredients in. So I've already measured out 4 cups of bread flour. So I'm going to just pour that straight into the mixing bowl here. 2 teaspoons of salt, 1, 2, and then I'm going to adjust this to half a teaspoon and use it on my baking powder. You might not want to mix your salt and your baking powder. I don't care. I use my salt and my baking powder all the time, so the dry ingredients don't bother me to kind of mix a little bit. I'm going to do half a teaspoon there. If you haven't got one of these adjustable measuring spoons, they're amazing because I just went from 1 teaspoon to half a teaspoon and didn't have to dirty a second dish. So put that in. And then I'm going to do my 2 eggs. And as always, you just want to be real careful that you don't get shell in your mixture. That straight in the trash. And then I'm going to take this over to my stand mixer. I'm going to put my kneading cook on here. And then I'm going to set it to knead for 9 minutes. Alright, so I'm going to let that knead for 9 minutes, and I'll be back in 9 minutes. Alright, so with 5 minutes remaining on the timer, you want to start adding your butter in just little bits at a time. If you use stick butter, you can slice it into like tablespoon slices. I don't have stick butter, so I make my own, which I show in a different video, but I'm just going to put a little bit in at a time so that it just doesn't clump up and mixes in nicely. Leave the mixer running, and I'm just going to put just little bits. Just dab it in there. And I'll insert some photos here that kind of shows it mixing in. I'm going to let that finish, and I will be back in just a few minutes. Alright, so the dough's now been mixing or kneading for 9 minutes. So I'm going to take it off the stand mixer. Scoop it off of the dough hook there. Then I have pre-greased a pan, or bowl I should say, back here. I'm just going to scoop it into the bowl and let it sit for an hour and a half to 2 hours, and let it double in size. And once that is done, then we will separate it into what will then become our Hawaiian rolls or our cinnamon rolls. Alright, so I'm going to let this sit for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I will come back and show you the next steps. So here you will see that I had already divided the dough into 2 equal halves prior to starting this video. At this point, you can either prepare the Hawaiian rolls if making them, or you can refrigerate the dough for at least 1 hour or up to 24 hours for cinnamon rolls. What I often do is put half in the refrigerator for cinnamon rolls and start rolling the other half right away for Hawaiian rolls. This batch makes 2 dozen total, so each half makes a dozen rolls. For Hawaiian rolls, you can start rolling the dough right away and start dividing it into 12 equal portions. I typically just guess and get as close as I can. If I'm kind of short at the end, then I will just grab a little bit from the rolls that seem a bit larger and make my portions that way. I place them straight onto a 9x13 pan. I personally use parchment paper on mine. Some people prefer to grease their pans. Either way works. I just really prefer parchment paper. It tends to keep things from sticking, in my opinion, and makes cleanup easier. I like to do things that will save on work later when possible.
Once I have put my 12 rolls onto the pan, I will let them sit and rise for about an hour and a half. They will approximately double in size, so if they seem small at the beginning, don't be scared. With about 20 minutes left, so about an hour and 10 minutes, I will start preheating my oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit and bake them for approximately 15 to 17 minutes. Of course, times will vary depending on your oven. Every oven bakes just slightly differently, so just make sure that you keep an eye on your rolls and check them periodically. I usually start checking them around the 12-minute mark just to make sure they don't burn. When they come out of the oven, I brush them with melted butter and serve. They are absolutely delicious. My whole family loves them, including my 8-year-old, so they are family approved. I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll have another video out to show how to finish the cinnamon rolls. If there are any other tips or tricks that you guys would like to know about, please put them in the comments and hit that like button and subscribe. See you guys next time.